What's up, everyone? This is Dariusz Klobaczyk, co-founder of NG Poland, JS Poland, AI Poland, and AngularMaster.dev. Welcome back to Angular Master Podcast. Today, we've got a special guest straight from Zurich, Switzerland. He is head of product engagement in the Google Developer Ecosystem team and the former head of Google Developer Expert Program, speaker, blogger, star. Ladies and gentlemen, Dawid Ostrowski.
Thank you very much, Derek. This is very nice introduction. Most of the things are right there. I'm not sure about the star status, but yes, thank you.
How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you. We are at the event today. I'm always happy to be with the community, being very close to technology and the people that I know for many years now, like yourself.
For those who don't know you yet, please tell us about yourself and what you do.
I work in developer relations team for many years, more than 13 years now at Google, and I truly believe in this model of promoting technology directly through communities to the vast groups of developers around the world. I think it's part of education and part of also enablement of others so they can do more with the technology that we create for them. This is generally what I do, especially in our team, in the developer ecosystem team. We run and help to run large community programs to enable organizers, to enable experts, even more people. And this is what I've been doing for the past 12, 13 years.
What value should a developer program offer to both company and the community?
I believe with the program, for instance, like GDE, Google Developer Experts, I think it's very important that companies use a very balanced approach to the situation, to this relationship. So it's not only we don't treat experts like, let's say, influencers, like marketing influencers, where we would just exchange, I don't know, some monetary values for some blog posts or videos and so on. But I believe really in this model when this exchange of value is really bi-directional. And I think on one hand, if you talk to people from the community, people who truly contribute to community, you see that each of them values slightly different thing. So first of all, it's good to be aware that there is no one thing for everyone there. Like some people, some community members will be there for visibility. Some others will be there to be part of the network and the community that contributing to also visibility, but also new contacts and then potentially new business and so on. Some people just want to give back, and that's great as well. Some people want to influence product by giving feedback and so on. So if we think about all of these aspects and if we create our programs around those values, everybody will find something for themselves. On the other side, of course, we cannot forget that we are working for profit companies, most of us. So the question always is, what do companies get out of this engagement with communities? And I would usually say developer advocacy, developer relations is about ultimate adoption of technology. It's not always sales, I would say, but I would say it's in stages, obviously, in steps. But it usually starts with awareness. So kind of making sure that people, developers out there know about your technology. That the next step usually is like, are they eager enough to try it, right? The next steps would be, if they tried it and they liked it, are they eager enough to actually use it in their professional projects? And then the next step is where we come to experts, for instance, when they are truly experts, they mastered particular product. Now they are also able to enable others and help others in this journey. And I think if we balance this type of values internally and externally, then we have successful programs like Google Developer Experts, which has been successfully over 10 years on the market and only growing so far.
How did you scale this program and what were the biggest challenges?
I didn't start the program, but I took it over when it was relatively small. I think maybe around 200 GDEs globally. Now it's over 1,200, so I would say it's like six-fold scale. And I have a little bit of perspective because as of end of last year, I'm not leading the program anymore, so I have a little bit more perspective on this. I can go back in memory what were the different challenges. Every year there is something slightly different. We cannot take those programs for granted. There will be always, especially at the company like Google, there will be always questions, why do we have this program? Is this the best allocation of our resources, time of people, and so on? And that's very fair to say. I'm a program manager, so I think a lot of things for me were very tactical or operational. How to run the team, what type of tools do we use, how do we measure success of the program. All those are not granted, right? A lot of experts, they just think, obviously everybody knows what I'm doing because I'm on this conference, I wrote this blog post and so on, but that's not so easy actually to track the impact of that. So to use the right tools, for instance, that was kind of transition from just spreadsheets and forms into more professional tools. That was probably the biggest challenge. More specifically, especially when we wanted to grow the program, onboarding was a challenge that actually we solved through proper tooling. Because in the past, the GDE program is kind of hard to get to, right? There is interviews, there is requirement that you have to submit what you do, your contributions to community and so on. All of this has to be assessed and so on. So that's actually a bit lengthy process. But when I took over the program, that process was very long. We are talking about months to process kind of this type of application. We were able to shorten it to a few weeks usually. I think on average maybe 4 weeks. Of course, there is still room for improvement, but that was a big change that tooling enabled us to do.
What are the key considerations when planning infrastructure for scalable developer program?
That's a very good question. I think I could write a book about it because there is so many different aspects. You could use some kind of framework that you use for any other projects. Let's say you use Simon Sinek's like why, how, and what, right? And maybe I can use this structure to do this. First of all, you have to figure out why you do this program, right? And I consult different companies or other communities or even internally. The why is not always there, and I think that leads to very weird results and sometimes programs that are kicked off and maybe not really followed up and they are very short-lived. So if you figure out the why do you want to have a program like this? Do you want to promote your product? Do you want to gather feedback? There are different goals around it. Do you want to have partnerships, for instance, and so on? And I would start with this. Then you have to figure out the scale. That's also something that it's good to plan ahead because the challenges around the scale, they come much earlier than people expect. People think, let's say we're going to start with 10, 20 experts around the world, that is going to be great. And then we just going to scale it up to 60 or 80 and so on. Actually, from my experience, there is very different set of tools that you would use for 10 people, 10 to 20 people versus like 50 to 60. Actually, it's almost at the border where just spreadsheets and bunch of scripts and bunch of forms is usually not enough. So that I would say that comes very early. Yeah. So thinking about those tools is important. Again, as a program manager, measuring things is very important to me. So thinking from the start why we do it, but also how we gonna measure the success. Are we successful or not? And especially there's like this chasm of in developer relations where kind of the very few adopters you will always get because people are eager and so on, but actually to scale it, that's the real problem later on. And I would say it's very similar with programs like that. At any company, if you go to leadership and you say, we're going to have those contributors, they're going to go to conferences, speak about our product, maybe even help us with other communities and so on, everybody will say yes. But the moment when you scale from, let's say, 10 people in the community to 50, when you need actually more resources, when the budget is kind of growing, or maybe you need a bigger team to help you with all of this, then the questions are being asked like, yeah, but what do we get out of it? How do you measure it? And so on. So my recommendation is to think about it from the start and have tools and processes in place and metrics to measure it.
How do you establish and maintain partnership with other organizations and internal teams?
That's something also very important. I would put it on the list that if somebody's planning a program like this, they should think about it, because the more connection points you have, especially internally, the higher success rate of the program, I would say. At Google, programs like GDE, with programs like GDEs, we collaborate with very, very various teams, many different teams. And I would say this collaboration is crucial to deliver on those values that I mentioned earlier. So, for instance, we would work with various marketing teams or developer marketing teams, because they would normally help us to promote what GDE is, what people like you do, and make even bigger splash about it. And they have their own channels, they have professional production teams like here today, and they have access to various resources that actually can boost the message. So that's one. We work very closely with engineering teams, obviously. We are all about technology, right? So today at the event, there is plenty of researchers, engineers, product managers. The very direct collaboration with those teams is very important to deliver on this value of kind of getting people who are interested in the product, who are passionate about the product, much closer to the product team. And actually here, I would say that's probably the best example of this bi-directional exchange of value, because on one hand, product team gets great feedback, they can improve on the product, they know what are really real world pain points. On the other hand, I think it's great for GDE to have a feeling that they have influence on the product, right? And over time, it gets better because of their feedback and so on. So I think that's really the moments when I saw the people be most happy on both sides. What other teams? We collaborate with other developer relations teams, because there is people who write documentation, who write samples, technical writers, and so on and so on. So that's granted. We work quite often with, let's say, regional leadership in particular countries to kind of make sure that community is served properly, that the community in what we do with technology responds to local, regional problems. And there are various different teams, like, for instance, public policy, that developers don't always want to talk about it, but in the end, they are affected by different regulators and regulations. And we are also sometimes there to kind of help navigate this, make sure that their voice is being heard, and so on. So there is many different teams internally.
So why should a developer consider becoming a GDE?
GDE is a person who's already contributing to the community, right? It's not a badge like a certification or anything like this. It's a network of people who already achieved something. They achieved visibility in the community. They achieved this expert status on the technical sides of things. And we see that they started already sharing their knowledge and expertise with others. Then such a person can be recommended, and they can sign up, they can submit information about what they did, and after the process of interviews, basically checking all of, they will be admitted to the program. Basically, I would say if a person is already doing that, joining the program would enable them to do even more, to have even more opportunities, to be closer to the product team, to learn earlier about some things. All of the GDEs are under NDA with Google, and I think that's an important part that allows us to share a little bit more about particular products even before they are publicly launched. It's easier for such person to stand out in the crowd. And again, different people have very different motivations, right? There might be potentially more visibility. There might be invitations to special events that we organize for developers. And as you very well know, you participated in many of them. And I think there is something very cool about it. Yeah, access to people, access to information about technology, having opportunity to provide feedback. everyone will find something valuable, I believe, in the program.
So
A person who contributes to community.
how do you track and report community activities effectively?
There are many approaches, and we've tried many over the years. Still at this point, majority of activities are being kind of manually tracked. So basically, we ask GDEs to manually report their top activities in a special tool that we have. There is some automatic tracking of some contributions, I believe, GitHub and Stack Overflow. I would say I think contributions to YouTube are now semi-automated, but that's where we are right now. I don't know what my colleague who leads the program now, what are his plans. But I think, of course, that there will be more and more automation. But at the same time, with automation, and we tried it over the years several times, actually with automation, it's very hard to achieve very good quality of reporting of those activities, because it's sometimes, for instance, hard to distinguish whether let's say you wrote a blog post and then you're just promoting it on social media versus you just wrote on social media, or maybe those are very different contributions. So to track it properly, it's a little bit of a challenge. That's I think still we rely on this manual reporting. Yeah. And maybe if I can add, we also have never tried to kind of value different activities in a different way. There is no really ultimate like one number. Like we never wanted to create a situation when, I don't know, we would say maybe one presentation at the conference is worth 2 workshops or something like this. No, we really try to keep, we are interested in metrics. We are interested in how many people attended and so on. Don't get me wrong. But we kind of value all of those contributions, because it's very hard to say, maybe you organized a workshop for 20 people, but maybe you spent 6 hours with them, right, during the day. And I don't know, now they are super good with BigQuery, for instance, right, after 6 hours, versus maybe you gave a presentation at the conference to 500 people, but I don't know, people were on their phones. It's very hard to judge this. That's why we internally never try to kind of come up with just one formula that is good. We try to enable community contributors to do what they do best.
Can you share a recent personal achievement that you are particularly proud of?
I created this project that helps. I have a son who has special needs, and he goes to the special needs school. It's like a bigger campus, including like underground garages and passages and so on. The school reached out to me with the question how we could better track kids where they are when they are in the school, because it's the problem of safety, basically. And if you think about it, there is different solutions, but the solution that especially that would work indoors, and especially in the places where there is no network and so on, that was kind of harder to organize. So I actually created my own solution based on ESP32 and Raspberry Pi and Home Assistant and all of that. And for a few kids that their parents agreed to and wanted this, actually deployed this solution based on Bluetooth Low Energy and the beacons and gateways. And to my own surprise, it works actually. It's operational and is deployed.
What are some lesser known but valuable skills that you think are crucial for success in tech?
Well, I'm in developer relations, which I always joke about is like software engineers who are not afraid to talk to people. And I would just encourage everybody, like some of those people skills, communication, being aware of different communication styles, being aware of how we communicate with others, whether they understand us, whether what we say is what they actually get. Even having awareness of that and, starting with awareness and then working on it, I think it's helpful for everybody. Again, being software engineer for many years, I think maybe not always it's being valued as a skill among developers. I don't want to play with like generalizations, right? But a lot of time developers would say like, any time that I'm not coding, it's wasted. I would say in large projects, we shouldn't be looking at this from this point of view. I think communication is part of it, because if you just are sitting coding, you might be coding something that is completely in the wrong direction, right? Not aligned with others and so on. So I think there is a healthy amount of communication and even meetings in a project team.
What's your favorite way to unwind after a busy day?
I thrive in dynamic environments, right? So usually I would just go to sleep because the whole day and the evening would be very intensive, but it's not like I'm physically a little bit exhausted, but I get energy from those situations. So I love to be at conferences. I love to be with community. This is where I strive. Yeah. Like I don't feel like I'm working. I know it's part of my job, but I don't feel like I'm working really. So having a good night's sleep is probably the best way for me. I don't need like other things that much.
Super. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
David, it was a pleasure to have you here. It's an amazing conversation. For all our listeners, please subscribe the channel, smash the button, ring the bell, and see you in the next podcast. Thank you so much one more time. Bye-bye.
Bye.